You know, Meghan Markle actually is a one-man sort of comedy, well, phenomenon really, isn't she? Should I say one woman? Yes, be practical there, Neil. But the thing is, you just sort of think everything that she says, well, is all there to counteract all of that negative PR. And as I told you before, she has a phenomenal team that literally go through, along with her, the multiple accounts on social media to read exactly the kickback that's happening in her world. And what I find fascinating is, if she is looking at this stuff, and I know that she is, why is she making so many glaringly obvious PR mistakes? Not just with the As Ever brand, but literally with everything that she's doing, you know? But clearly what she's decided to do is now kick back, as the kids say, on some of the biggest stories, once again using something that's supposed to be entertainment with Lemonada, her, well, ill-fated podcast. Now, as it came to a staggering halt, Meghan decided to shoehorn in quite a few stories, and this particular one, as ever, I'm going to expose. Let me explain. Morning, chums. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't worry, that bus looks closer than it is. A lot of people ask me, you know, sorry, we'll have a wave. Nice to see you and welcome one and all brand new subscribers. A lot of people say to me, you know, Neil, when you buy the Tube platform, are you sure you're safe? I am. I'm against a wall, honestly. But I know what you mean. When you watch it back on film, it kind of looks like the Tube's about to come off the rails onto your lap. Frightening, isn't it? That could be like a film, yes, from the 80s with Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Willis. Do you remember all of those Hollywood hard men of that era? You don't have those anymore now, do you? No, you've got James Corden. Yes, we'll just leave it there. You're being naughty, I can tell. Now listen, it's been a little bit like this particular story, as I say. I just found this fascinating because obviously I've never been with child, so you know you have to ask the relevant people. And I've worked with many different people, and you know I know that, for instance, I remember working with an actress who only actually wore her heels in photo shoots, you know, things like that when she was expecting. Other than that, always in flat shoes, or you know, as she said, just comfy socks, because the pain was too much, particularly you know when you're having you at certain points when you're having the child. Meghan Markle has decided to address this, right, by basically saying that she refused to give up the killer heels, and this is the reason why she was clutching hold of Harry during her pregnancies, because you know she just felt better in the heels. Now what's interesting is, speaking to an excellent source, apparently Her Majesty the Queen voiced a few concerns about this and sort of said, you know, you've got to be careful, you know, when you go out, particularly in public, if you're in an event, climbing stairs, shiny floors, that sort of stuff. People polish things literally and you walk on, you know, it's happened to Princess Anne, you know, walking down a street, lost her footing, and she wasn't expecting at the time, so you know what I mean. The Queen, once again, being incredibly kind. But of course, this particular story suits one person, and that, of course, truly is just Meghan Markle, right? And the reason why it suits Meghan is that as people inside Kensington Palace, the ones that, you know, she couldn't get on with, and apparently the ones that she truly fell out with because, well, she wasn't bullying them, she was simply just telling them what she wanted them to do. You see, when she lived in Kensington Palace for that very short time, Meghan was literally inundated with designer goodies. And the one thing that made us squeal with delight wasn't, of course, Prince Harry. Oh, no, no, no. It was all of those designer shoes that turned up on a regular basis. And what's interesting about this is, you see, obviously, as I pointed out to you before on previous videos, Meghan really didn't like the idea of having to give back this particular, you know, goodie, this swag as they call it, because she thought, well, no, you know, why? I'm going to wear it. I'm not going to say it's them, but people can source it, etc. Now, according to a source, this was part of the reason, and as ever, we have to say allegedly, why Meghan insisted on being trotted out in those stiletto heels, the killer heels. And even, as I said, a nice polite reminder, not just from Her Majesty the Queen, but of course even from the then Duchess of Cambridge, Catherine, who herself had to abandon her famously towering sky-high heels for flats in the end, because as she said, her feet were just killing, right? We're all human in the end, right, Mom? The thing is, ultimately, Meghan refused. And so consequently, she seemingly, according to the people around her at the time, didn't have the problems of swollen feet or swollen ankles. That never happened for her during her pregnancy, particularly with Archie. Hence the reason she was able to carry on wearing those fabulously decadent and very expensive, and more importantly, free, killer designer heels. So I think that's more of a real clarity as to what, of course, Meghan decided to share with us once again on that illustrious podcast that recently came to a conclusion. Neil Shawn in the very heart of London.